they won't have nobody else come before the
in addition to the contract.
And that, we have the whole,
You have the whole contract in your packet.
okay.
I didn't think so. If you go look at the front of my ambulance right now, I got a big gash in the front part of the lights broken because the lady wasn't looking
Chief,
right in front of
Chief, I think we're ready to go here.
Did you see, child who had a baby? Oh, okay.
She told Bob it was okay to announce it.
I asked special permission. I want to steal her thunder, but figured it's as good an excuse.
The meeting is called to order. I will turn it over to our newly elected Councilmember Carol McBride and ask her to give the opening prayer.
If we go up our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this meeting. We ask that you will bless us and keep us safe, covered with good health and strength. We ask you that you bless this meeting, that everyone will be able to work collectively and in order. And we ask these blessings in thy name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Councilmember McBride. I think we can get used to this every meeting.
Yeah, I will.
And the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would please stand with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice all so much for joining us tonight. I'm very excited about the special presentations that we're going to get into momentarily. But in stepping through the agenda first, I want to address item 4. We have not had any closed session since the time of the last council meetings in the month of November. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
So moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, I'm very, very grateful to have a special family joining us today, the Kim family. For those of you who don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Kim operate the dry cleaners that is in the same shopping center as Americana Grocery Store. And what's a blessing about this business is they celebrated 42 years of business in October of this year. So can we give them a round of applause? So we just wanted to recognize their outstanding service to the community and just give a small token of appreciation. So bear with me as I change over to the podium. Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Kim, if you could please come, and your son Daniel, who's here with you, if you could please come forward. And I'll read this to you. Oh, no. Okay. Get the family together. Proclamation, whereas the mayor and town council of Bladensburg, Maryland have duty to recognize the accomplishments of outstanding businesses in the community. And whereas Kim's Cleaners, owned by Catherine and Patrick Kim, has served the Bladensburg community since 1979. And whereas the business has produced work of the highest quality and provided excellent customer service to its patrons over many years, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and town council do hereby express our sincere appreciation and gratitude for the dedication and commitment Kim's Cleaners has shown to the town of Bladensburg. And further, we extend our best wishes to the Kim's Cleaners leadership and staff as they continue their journey of success in the Bladensburg community. Thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
She did prepare a little something.
Thank you, Mayor James, for recognizing me today. My name is Catherine Kim. I started at Kim's Cleaner in 1979 and have served Bladensburg for 42 years. I have enjoyed working hard and meeting all my customers and the community. I plan to keep serving Bladensburg for many more years, or as long as I have the energy. Thank you so much again, so much for inviting me and my family here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mrs. Kim, is it possible that we could get a picture with the council and the
yes,
plaque?
sure.
Okay. Ms. Blunt.
Photographer in chief? Because you make fun of my phone. Sure.
Okay, great.
Council members, if you want to come around.
Mayor, is it okay if we take our masks off for the picture? Okay, thank you.
Just can't read. Thank you so much. Oh, that's great. Congratulations and thank you so much.
Congratulations. we hope that they'll be around another 42 years. Yes, and then for the next two appearances that we have on the agenda, I'm really honored to have Chief Collington recognize the tremendous accomplishments of some of the officers. And so at this time, I'll turn this over to Chief Collington.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, colleagues, and community. I think I'll take my mask off for this. I'm honored to be here today to stand before you to just give you a snippet of the magnificent, incredible work that our men and women of the Bladensburg Police Department do every day. I always say that we don't have the option to swerve around danger. We don't get to pick what calls we will handle and won't handle. We took an oath to serve and protect our community, and I'm proud of the men and women behind me that serve with us. And I want to just highlight in this session just two incredible acts of tenacity, bravery, courage, competency, and just the willingness to serve that made a major impact in two incidents. The first award I want to present is the Life Saving Award, and I want to call up our Communications Officer, John Thurfall, Acting Corporal Perez, Gerald Pickering, and Officer Colton Burnett. Okay. Police Communications Officer John Thurfall, Acting Corporal Chad Perez, Officer Gerald Pickering, and Officer Colton Burnett are being recognized for their quick life-saving actions they displayed on Wednesday, November 17, 2021. The officers were dispatched to the Bladensburg Police Annex for a family who drove to the police station to report that their one-year-old child was unresponsive and not breathing. Officer Burnett sprung into action and began life-saving measures and was able to resuscitate the child, while other officers kept the family calm. The officers transported the child to the Bladensburg Volunteer Firehouse, where he was subsequently transported to the hospital for additional treatment. Communications Officer Thurfall was instrumental in relaying critical information to the fire rescue personnel for their quick actions, diligence, courage, competency, alertness to detail, and professionalism that contributed immensely to the saving of a life and preventing a family from grieving the loss of a child. These officers are worthy of receiving the Life Saving Medal Award for 2021. All right, so Thurfall, yes, you guys stand by for. Got something else for you. Officer Picker? Yes, sir. Officer Colton? And Acting Corporal. Okay. And along with the certificates, I want to present our officers with something that, even though it may be small, but the value of it and what it represents is huge. And I want to present them with the life-saving medal that they can wear the ribbon on their uniform, and they can wear the medal on their dress blouse. Oftentimes we go to ceremonies. I spent 10 years serving on the color guard, the honor guard team, and I've gone to hundreds of fallen heroes that died in the line of duty. And I just want to thank our officers, and I tell them I'm probably one of few chiefs that tell my officers that I love them every day and mean it, because they won't, unfortunately, they won't be able to hear me if they have to pay the ultimate sacrifice. So I remember what my beloved mother said, and that was, give them their flowers while they're living. So. And if you guys can come up to the front. Also present you guys with one of my challenge coins. Now these are Chiefs Challenge coins, and these are only given out to those that go above and beyond, that perform a significant act of heroism, bravery. They go above the call of duty. And tonight, these officers are well worthy of receiving a Chiefs coin. So we can get a picture with it. Lieutenant. And can we get the rest of the officers that's come take a knee? Anybody else back in that? No, we got one more. We always save the best for last. One of my guys. All my jokes, Chief. All my jokes. Now, this next award that I want to present is something, again, that's near and dear to my heart, and it's for officers that put themselves in the line of duty for perfect strangers. But in this case, this was an incident where an individual shot and injured one of our neighboring jurisdiction's police officer. So for that, I want to call up Communications Officer Thurfall, Officer Colton Burnett, and Acting Corporal Chad Perez. Officer Colton Burnett, Acting Corporal Chad Perez, PFC Ryan Harris, who isn't here tonight, he is away in training to better his profession in the service he provides. And Communications Officer John Thurfall are being recognized for their heroic actions they displayed during the arrest of a suspect who shot and injured a Riverdale Park police officer on November the 8th, 2021. Officer in Riverdale Park Police Department attempted to pull over a car they believe was responsible for a shooting earlier in the town of Riverdale Park. Several officers from various jurisdictions responded to the distress call from the injured officer. They ascended in the area of East-West Highway and Teller Street to attempt to locate the suspects who fled from officers and ultimately crashed the vehicle they were driving. They bailed out of the vehicle and began to exchange gunfire with the officers and struck the Riverdale Park officer. The suspects made good their escape for hours until they were spotted by Officer Colton Burnett and Acting Corporal Chad Perez in the 5000 block of 57th Avenue in Bladensburg. Officers Colton and Perez exited their vehicle and attempted to speak with the suspect, who began to run and produced a handgun and pointed it at the officers. He slipped and fell on the ground. Officers were able to tactically secure the suspect's gun and place him under arrest. He was transported to the Bladensburg police station and later turned over to the Riverdale Park police officers for questioning and to be formally charged for their diligence, bravery, courage, alertness to detail, professionalism that contributed immensely to the arrest of this dangerous criminal who attempted to murder a police officer. These officers are worthy of receiving the Medal of Honor for 2021. If you can join me giving them a round of applause. And I often tell people it's not where you work, it's how you work that make the difference. You could be in a 25-man police department or you could be in a 2,500-man police department. But I tell anybody, I put these officers up against any police department because these are some of the best trained officers that we have protecting our city. And I can quote. All right. And for that, they also get the Medal of Honor. And I'll just show everybody that. Thanks, sir. And I want to also say thank you to the Mayor Council, our residents, our colleagues, our Fire Department Chief Dave Sumner, and I want to thank the families of these brave and courageous staff that we have. I want to thank you for lending them to us to serve and protect this community of Bladensburg. You want to do another picture? Okay. Okay. You guys want to come up? There you go, okay?
And before you all leave, I just want to open up the floor to the council to share any congratulatory remarks. So we'll go alphabetical. Councilmember Blunt, anything you want to say?
The finest police officer I know.
Thank you. That was sweet. Councilmember Brown?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. I would like
to
just commend the town of Bladensburg officers. I've been living in this town for over 20 years, and I really appreciate you all just serving and protecting and putting your lives on the line for us daily, and also thanking the families as well for allowing you all to serve this wonderful town of Bladensburg. So, you know, the work that you all do daily, when I see you all, you know, it just warms my heart. And I'm always praying for you because it's a hard job. You know, it's really tough. And when you get up and you put on that uniform and you're out there serving and protecting, because I mean, there's some people out there who are not nice people, and so we appreciate what you all do for the town of Bladensburg from the bottom of my heart, and I thank you all, and I want you all to know that you're always in my prayers, and that everybody goes home. Thank you for your service. Thank you for serving and protecting.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Brown. I feel like you said it for all of us, but Councilmember McBride.
I would like to say thank you also for the wonderful work that you do. I mean, I've only been here for 5.5 years, but a lot of times I hear you working, I see you working, I see the cards, and I really pray for you. I'm so grateful for the work that you do, and I live in the senior community, so we especially thank you. We are truly appreciative of all of you, and I pray you'll be safe.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Councilmember McBride. I think between everybody before me, they've said it all, so I'll just say ditto to everything my colleagues have said. I've told you all individually, and I try to express it publicly whenever I get the opportunity, but I truly appreciate the work that you do and the fact that you don't just come here to do a job and leave, but you care about the residents. It's evident from the honors that you received tonight, which were simply demonstrations of you going above and beyond, not for this recognition, not because you wanted a medal, but because you care about the people that you serve. And so, as was said before, we truly
Recording in
appreciate
progress.
you. Policing is hard right now. Please don't think everybody in the community is against you. Bladensburg residents love our officers. And while we know we're not perfect people, we make mistakes. Wherever we can, we will address those mistakes and move forward. But I'm not worried about that because I know that you serve from the heart, and that moral compass in which you police and protect our community is evident in everything that you do. So again, thank you all so very much, and we'll continue praying for your protection, and just wish you all the best. So with that, Chief, thank you also. I'm sorry, I have to say, we really appreciate you, Chief Collington, because you took to heart that we wanted a police chief who would really create a place where our officers felt valued, and not that they were here, that they would receive preferential treatment where some get their way and some don't. You came in here to make us a world-class agency, from giving them the ribbons, taking that feedback from Councilmember Chris Mendoza and giving them the ribbons to really signify the efforts that they have achieved so they can feel proud and make it a visible reminder to the public of the efforts that they have, you know, to not just do the job, but to be professionally trained at the highest level. So I appreciate you creating a culture of respect, of love, of, you know, mutual admiration between you, your command staff, and everyone who you're bringing in. You are truly changing the culture of this agency, and we thank you for your leadership. And so with that, I'm sure you all want to go and take more pictures, so I guess we'll let you go. Maybe to the annex, they can party over there or something. Thank you, and also thank you to your special families for coming out tonight as well. We appreciate you all. Give them a moment to exit.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you again to the Kim family. Thank you so much. And so for the next item that we have on tonight's agenda, we have the approval of the November minutes, but those are not prepared, so we'll have to table that until the January meeting. So the next item on the agenda would be public comments, and I believe I'm coming over to Mr. Charnovich for those.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we just have one comment this evening that I received via email. It is from Mrs. Carletta Lundy, and I'll read it into the public record. What I believe is true is that whether you work, are an elected official, resident, or business owner in the town of Bladensburg, we love Bladensburg, and that Bladensburg cares. That's the acronym CARES. The American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, of 2021 provides essential resources to help individuals and families to recover from this global pandemic. Moreover, to help us thrive in these difficult and challenging times, now and for a better, more resilient, and sustainable future moving forward. I was pleased to see posted at the Bladensburg website the announcement about the 2 upcoming ARPA virtual community visioning sessions for town businesses and town residents. I have already registered. I encourage and hope individuals and families in Bladensburg will join me in doing the same. I would like to share the following quote I found online. Together, we need to alleviate the harm brought on by COVID-19 while rebuilding our public health infrastructure and investing in community power. In closing, may blessings, the peace and joy of the holidays be with you and your families today and throughout the new year. All the best, Mrs. Carletta Lundy.
Great. Thank you for reading the public comment submitted for tonight's meeting, and thank you to our resident, Mrs. Lundy, for submitting it. The next item on the agenda is under unfinished business, the fiscal forensic audit. I'll turn it over to Mr. McGrory.
Thank you, Mayor. This item, staff was directed to prepare a request for proposals regarding a fiscal forensic audit. Staff has done so. The RFP was placed on the town's website. We've received several expressions of interest in that RFP, and there's a stepwise process of Q&A back and forth with the prospective vendors that we will proceed to, and at a future meeting we'll bring that back before the council for its prospective action.
Great. Any questions from the team? All right. Next item is the speed camera contract. I know we discussed it a little bit in the work session, but Mr. McGrory and Chief Collington, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, Mayor, just very briefly, I'll just note that this has been long in progress prior to my arrival in town in June. You do have before you a carefully negotiated contract. It has been evaluated by the town attorney. I just provided you the signature page of the document, which has been signed by the other party and signed by the town attorney to signify her review and acceptance of it. Approved as to form and legal sufficiency. And Chief, if you want to give a little more background on that process, if you wish. Thank you.
Good evening again, Mayor, Council, colleagues, and community. We receive on a daily basis, we receive a number of complaints of vehicles speeding throughout the city. And our goal is not to make money off of our residents that violate, but it's an educational piece that you must obey the posted speed limit. We started this program, vetting these vendors in 2019. So it's been a while. We vetted 3 vendors, and we chose Conduit. We brought this before the council. The council approved the vendor that myself and Mr. Tonelli met with, and Conduit was the vendor that rose to the top, because the main thing we wanted to do is not put the town of Bladensburg at a financial loss or disadvantage. And what that means is we asked that they put a neutrality clause into the contract, which means there's no risk to the town. If the revenue that come in from the speed camera fines don't match up to what we pay per camera, they don't charge us. They take what we picked up throughout that month. So that is something that was huge with us, and that was the neutrality clause, that we make the town of Bladensburg free from any risk of incurring any fees or unpaid dues. We looked at a number of streets, and you have that in your packet. So we provided that to the council. It'll be on our website for our residents to know. Again, this is not a catch-you gig. This is a education So there are no secrets here. So we posted where the speed cameras will be, and we expect residents to, try to abide by the speed limit. And I can say, just as we were presenting this in 2019, Mayor, if you remember, there was a young lady from Bladensburg that was struck by a speeder right in front of the high school. So it's very important that we put these resources because, quite frankly, the officers can't be on every corner all the time. We have 10 to 12,000 residents here, and we're running calls for service. I expect officers to be out on foot patrolling the community. So we can't be in these areas 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we rely on other resources to help us educate the public about the laws, the speeding laws. So I'll take any questions if you have any.
Sure, so I'll open it up to the council for any questions for Chief Collington. And I will just remind the residents, as it relates to particularly areas near the schools in town, we're at 1.1 square mile in terms of the town of Bladensburg, and yet we have Bladensburg High School, Elizabeth Seton High School, Port Towns Elementary, Rogers Heights Elementary School, Bladensburg Elementary School, the International High School of Langley Park, and Templeton Elementary, which is sort of on the borders. It's right outside of town. So given the number of students that we have walking through the community or just trying to get to their bus stop to catch the bus, this is so critical. But then also just for our residents who are out walking, I can't tell you how many times we've seen people speeding up and down 56th Avenue or Spring Road, trying to get off of traffic in Annapolis Road and avoid that and speed through town and think they can pass traffic. I think it's timely that we do this because we can't afford for someone to be killed by a vehicle if we can do our best right now with this to prevent that. So appreciate the diligence because it has been a long road getting here. But one of the benefits is that neutrality clause because initially they were going to have us on the hook. So if we didn't generate enough money every month through the tickets, the town would have had to pay of some of that. So through the negotiations, like Chief said, that was taken away. So here we are. Again, just glad to get this moving forward. But final call for comments or questions. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. And Chief, congratulations on the good work, the diligence. I mean, to the staff as well, because it's been a long time coming. But I'm glad that you did point out the fact that it's not a got you, because I say if you're abiding by the speed limit, then you won't get a ticket.
That's right.
And then because you have children playing, and we have families. Our Bladensburg is comprised of families, and as the mayor mentioned, all of the schools. And I think maybe some people don't realize how many schools that we have in Bladensburg. And so it's a high zone for children. And don't forget over there on the other side by Newton Street.
Nope, it's in there.
As well, because cars come flying through. So I think it's great. Like you said, it's not a got you. Just obey the speed limit, because you want to make it the road safe for people, for the residents who are walking through town. And you all have walked through town before, and they probably have almost been hit by a car yourself. I know I have. So, but just want to say, kudos to that to you and the staff for working on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
And with that, if there are no further comments, we do. I'm trying to think. I guess we have the ability to go ahead and move forward with this. Again, it was just reviewed for legal sufficiency. It was approved by the council, I want to say September 2019 initially. I think that's when we approved the vendor. And then in December, there was another vote regarding the contract, because that was right after Councilmember Blunt and Councilmember Rout were elected. And that's where we'd identified definitively this is who we're working with, and then the negotiations have been going on since that time. So we don't need a vote at this point. It's already been approved by the council. But again, it's more of an update to say we finally have the final contract, the signature page that we received shows that our town attorney, Ms. Sue Ellen Ferguson, has reviewed it for legal sufficiency, and so we can go to signature and get the contract countersigned and get the infrastructure in place so we can start having some positive results from these speed cameras. Anything else, Mr. McGrory?
Well, procedurally, Mayor, I would recommend a vote of the council to authorize your vote on the contract. Just because it's contemporaneous now, the contract will start now, and you'll have.
Okay.
Yeah, before we do that, may I?
Yes, Councilmember Brown?
Thank you. Chief, one thing, what's going to happen with the funds collected?
So with the speed camera program, funds are spent for public safety. So anything public safety related, whether it's sidewalks or anything like that where we can enhance the safety of the public, those are what the funds are used for. And I know that there was some talk of some sidewalks being in place over in your ward. But so the funds will be used for those types of projects.
Okay, good, thanks.
Thank you, Chief. Any further questions before we call for a vote? All right, so is there a motion to proceed with the contract between the town of Bladensburg and Conduit State and Local Solutions Incorporated for the purpose of our automated traffic enforcement program commencing today, December 13th, 2021?
So,
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. We have the speed camera program finally moving forward. I gotta applaud. Thank you so much. This is a long time coming, and I think many, many residents will be grateful. And as you said, it's education. We just want you to drive the speed limit, and we just want to keep our residents safe. That's the bottom line. So thank you again to the Chief, to Mr. McGrory for moving this forward. The next item on the agenda, or let's see, there's nothing under financial business, so we'll move to new business. So the updated forms, Mr. McGrory, those are administrative. Do we need to
I do believe
vote
they're administrative, Mayor, but since
Yeah.
we have them on the agenda and you've looked at them, if the council approved them, that would be terrific. And then
All
we'd
right.
have a clear mandate moving forward with these two particular forms, with the changes you proposed and, the proviso that the staff can amend them, modify them for specific purposes as needed. But I would request a motion to approve them. if you
Okay,
would.
so is there a motion to approve the updated town forms? One, as a reminder, if you weren't watching for the work session, one of those forms was for the use of town space, including this facility that we're in right now, as well as the town park. And the second form was for property distribution. So as an example, the council approved a laptop distribution program for ESL learners who are registered for a specific program at Prince George's Community College. In order to receive that laptop, of course, they have to prove they're taking the class at the community college, but then they would have to sign off on the property distribution form, so we get their information and details validating that they're a Bladensburg resident. So, sorry for the additional commentary, but is there a motion to approve the updated forms for property distribution and use of the town hall facilities?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Under new business, we have the state bond. Mr. McGrory, would you like to talk us through that?
Sure, there's no action needed on that at this time. Mr. Perez gave the council an update at its work session earlier tonight, and that was just put on here as a placeholder in case there would be formal action needed by the council. We do anticipate working with Mr. Perez and members of the legislature to frame a best-case scenario for how the town could present a bond in the future, and would move that back before the council for your action in January.
And Mr. McGrory, to that point, I'm just trying to find the information in the packet. There was reference to specific dates that if the council did want to proceed with a bond bill. That request has to be in, 21 days? I'm trying to recall, but pardon me while I try to get my hands on the,
And I
On
don't
the document.
recall,
January 12th?
if anyone sees those dates in the packet, please let me know. My recollection was I was actually surprised that it was well into the session. And what I would say to the council, and one of the reasons this was on the agenda tonight, was the sooner you get it in, the better. So if strategically Mr. Perez and we all agree that we should move forward with this, we can certainly circulate things by email. Staff can work it up provisionally. But I would suggest that absolutely the town council would not want to delay submitting a bond proposal until closer to the deadline. But I can look through, we can see if we can locate those specific deadlines. But as I recall, they were mid-session.
So yes, I found it. So the LBIs must be introduced by the 27th day in the Senate and the 31st day in the House as guaranteed dates, whereby DLS guarantees the members will have what they need by the 55th day to drop signed LBI request forms with the clerk for introduction. So with that in mind, and I'm assuming this is from bond bill day, so correct me if I'm wrong, that these deadlines are the 27 days out or 31 days out. But I think that if we would probably need to have a solid conversation at the January work session to figure out, is this something that we want to pursue to get money for the two projects and formalize that with votes that this is the direction we want to go in, and then start working with Mr. Perez to get the necessary application forms in. And at least that way, the full team will be here in January. So, okay. All right. So that completes the discussion about bond bills. The next item on the list is employee excess leave for 2021. So I'll turn that over to Mr. McGrory.
Thank you, Councilmember. Sorry, Mayor James. So this was discussed at the work session as well, and I read into the record at the time a well-crafted letter from the police chief outlining the staff who were in this situation. Due to the short staffing, especially in emergency services and public safety, staff were unable to take leave, and this particularly tends to affect longer-serving employees who accrue leave faster and would thereby lose the value of their leave given the town's leave carryover policies. So there's a motion before you which is specifically crafted to limit this payout to bring people down to the caps prior to the end of the fiscal year. And if there are questions from the council, I'll happily answer them to the best of my ability. And the total amount of the leave payout at present calculation is $19,000, and I can give you a very precise number. But I'm requesting that the motion go up to $25,000 just because there's some variability. But this would only be for the fewer than 14 employees who are in this category. It's $19,806 at present leave calculations after the last pay period.
Thank you for that, Mr. McGrory. And then in addition, for the benefit of our residents who are watching, the comp leave, as noted in the personnel policy, allows you to carry up to 80 hours of comp into the next year. As it relates to annual leave, some of you may remember in 2020, because of the stay-at-home orders and the emergency status that we were in, there were certain times where public safety was not allowed to take time off. They had to work. We were short due to officers leaving. But then also these officers were impacted by COVID, and in some cases, so were their family members. And so that just increased the burden on the staff who were here. And again, not being able to take time off just to have some rest and rejuvenate. So it was a very, very stressful year for our public safety officers who were serving on the front lines. What the council approved in December was increasing the annual leave for staff because of this situation up to from 360 hours that they could carry over to 440. And that was through the end of 2022 is what we voted to approve. But the reality is, with folks who have benefited from it at the time, here we are a year later, we've been short most of the year, where Chief is doing a great job filling in positions, but several staff have not been able to use their leave and spend down those balances because they've been filling in the gaps. And so I think it does make sense to just go ahead and get this off of our books, because Mr. Tonelli, I wanted to ask you specifically, my understanding is this is debt on the town's books. And if we can, because we still owe it, whether they have taken it this year, we would have paid it out. Whether they were able to take it at some future date, the town still owes this.
Correct.
And so if we just pay them out for their bonuses, it helps the town from a financial perspective. But what's even more critical is it helps boost the morale for staff who have been stressed and giving us their best and going above and beyond. And I think it just makes sense to go ahead and do something that's a lift for them. It's a win-win. It's a lift for them. It's a win for the town. We owe them this leave. It's not a matter of whether they deserve it or not, because they've earned it. It's their time. So we can't debate that. That's a data fact. The numbers indicate what their leave balances are. So, Mr. Tonelli, anything else you want to add from a financial perspective?
No, that's correct. Mr. McGrory read from the employee manual that, it's under bonuses, but as you said, it's already been accrued and earned. It's not like a brand new expense or anything. So it's already on the books, and we're just constrained by our personnel policies. And as Chief said and as Bob said, we're a small organization, and it's difficult sometimes, when they're staffing down and there's a job to be done, it's difficult at times to say, hey, I'm gonna take off, and it's hard to walk away too, but we appreciate it.
Yeah,
The
thank you,
consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Chief Collington, would you like to add any additional remarks?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just want to say again, thank you. Oh, got it too.
We want to hear this.
I just want to say again, Mayor and Council, I thank you so much for your support of our staff. And it's not just those on the front line, it's those behind the scenes as well that make the same contributions and sacrifices that we all make. And I just want to say again from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your consideration and to helping us keep our officers and staffs safe, healthy, and keep our morale up so we do retain our good officers and they don't go away. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief, for those remarks, and I agree wholeheartedly. The dispatchers sometimes are forgotten, but those are the unsung heroes, and when you think about it, they're on the front lines because the calls come to them first, and they have to manage that out, almost like the air traffic controllers. And so, if this benefits some of them in that same boat, because I know they've been very, very short over the past probably year and a half, we definitely want to encourage them with this as well. So if there are no other comments from the council, I'll go ahead and proceed with asking for a vote. Mr. McGrory, sorry, I'm flipping pages here, but make sure we get this right. So the motion that I'm asking for is regarding the leave payout that may, pursuant to our personnel policy, take the form of bonuses, but this leave payout is not to exceed $25,000 for staff in a position of potentially losing annual leave that they have earned and or comp leave. Is there a motion? And correct me, did I get that right? I was trying to read
I have asked and invited very specific language.
Okay,
in
where are
bold in the covering sheet that I put
Oh,
in there.
sorry, let me keep going.
And that was extremely precise
Yeah.
for several technical reasons, so it gives us cover to execute this under the bonus and also to limit the liability to specific amounts.
Okay, so let me correct that. So is there a motion to move that active employees who have actually worked at least 90 hours in the past 90 days with leave balances at the end of 2021 above current limits set by town policy and this council be paid out for their leave balances at the end of 2021 rather than forfeiting their leave balances? This leave payout will take the form of bonuses pursuant to the town's personnel manual Article 6, Section K, employee bonuses. The total of this amount leave payout shall not exceed $25,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Oh, sorry. Councilmember Brown.
I'm sorry, just real quick, because I think it's important, and, Chief, I do like the letter of your explanation, and I think we have, everything that we need to support it, to support this, and it does make sense from a financial perspective as well as from a uplifting perspective with our workers, police officers, on, like you said, on the front lines, and the ones who are sitting behind the desk, and just showing them that, we really appreciate, especially during this COVID time, these extenuating circumstances, and their families as well, that we, really appreciate the hard work and the sacrifices. Yes.
I totally agree. Thank you for that, Councilmember Brown. And so with that, if there are no other comments, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. McGorry and Mr. Tonelli, for working together to come up with a solution that's best for the staff. And with that, the next item is appointments of the Council of Governments committees. And so we did have a conversation in the work session about the committees that are taking appointments at this time. So I won't review all the details. Again, we covered it in the work session. But per the discussion, we came up with the following plan of attack here. So under the Chesapeake Bay and Water Resources Policy Committee, we have Councilmember Brown as the lead with Officer Reinhardt supporting. We have for Climate, Energy, and Environment Policy Committee, myself and Mr. McGorry tag teaming there. On Food and Agriculture Regional Member Policy, we have Councilmember McBride leading, and I have Councilmember Brown. Is that right? I may have gotten that wrong. For the farm, yeah, that's right. Okay, supporting. Okay. And then for Human Services and Policy Committee, we have Councilmember Blunt, who volunteered for that, and I almost said Councilmember Collington. Good gracious. Chief Collington supporting there. So at this time, we still have Region Forward Coalition, so we'll talk amongst ourselves to try to see if we can get someone there. I don't think it's the end of the world if we've been able to, fill 4 out of the 5, but we will make that effort. But is there a motion by the council to approve the current list of COG appointments for committees?
Mayor, can I
Yes.
just jump in?
Yep.
Because Mr. Charnovich and I had a sidebar, and he is willing to raise his hand since we have an unfilled one. I would suggest potentially, if you're willing to serve on Region Forward, that would get in front of the motion, and you could include that in the motion and at least have one representative for each of these. So does that work for you?
Certainly, I want to volunteer with the caveat that I'm not sure what the committee, what its objective is, but I'm happy to help and jump in and be on the committee. And I'll learn quickly what it's all about.
You don't want to chair it, you don't want to chair it, but you'll support it, right?
I'll go straight to the chair.
I like how you think, Rich. Big goals, big dreams. I love it. Awesome. Okay, so now that means we do have coverage for all of the committees. And so is there a motion to approve the list of committees that was just outlined? For the sake of time, I won't read through all of them unless you all really want me to. We're good? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the committee assignments?
Also moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
So moved.
Second. That's okay. Seconded. Seconded?
Yes,
Okay, by Councilmember McBride. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all so much. The that item actually completes everything we had listed under new business. At this time, we'll move to staff reports. And we have Public Works up first. Mr. McGrory, do you want to give an update for them?
Sure. There was a written copy of the Public Works report provided to each of the council members. We'll make that available as well. I know there's a covering picture of the street sweeper in action, which is, the leaf collector in action, which is very exciting, as well as internally it includes a copy of the leaf vacuum schedule and the information that appears on the town website for that. We've been certainly grateful for the Public Works Department's assistance with numerous town events, though it's not in this report because this is confined to November. They did a great job with the Yule Log event, as well as Veterans Day and others. So we're very grateful for that and all of their engagement.
Wonderful. Thank you for that summary of some of the great work that they've been doing. Like you said, we know there's much more, but appreciate the abbreviated view. At this time, we'll turn it over to Mr. Tonelli for the treasurer's report.
I'll keep it brief. In your packet is the, yeah, very brief. You can jump up here, it's easier to talk. To keep it brief, we're 5 months into the fiscal year. Revenues are up, expenses are down, which is where we want to be. The revenues are up because of collections activities by the county for the real property tax, which is due by the end of December. But some of the things that surprisingly what we're up for is the personal property tax assessments. That is a very good sign. Businesses are coming back. And also the income tax as well this early in the year. A lot of that is latent from the previous following year, but those are all good signs. Expenses are down overall, and in the packet is by individual departments. And I try to put a highlight on the front on that 2-page, just say, hey, look at this. This is why we're up. This is why we're down. And you can go through and you can see the highlights in there, and there's full financials. Just a quick plug for I attended the MACO, the Maryland Association of Counties Winter Conference. That was really good. I know it's like, it's the MML, but for the counties. It's nice because you're dealing with a lot. They're larger issues, but they're the same issues that we're dealing with, and talk about it from a municipality standpoint, to share the same concerns and everything with the counties. And there is a pretty good municipal attendance there as well. And I just learned a lot of things I didn't know, so it was really worth it. And it's packed. I mean, it's just no breaks whatsoever for 3 days. So, but it's good to be there at the table there and express our concerns at the municipal level. Like, oh, well, thanks. We know, municipalities are going through that as well. I'm like, of course we are. So it's so it was good. But that's all we have. Tax differential, Mr. McGrory touched on, very favorable as always. But we'll get into that next meeting. That's all I have. Anybody has any questions?
No, that is, any questions from the council? And like you said, so tax differential, we'll touch that in January?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
And I did see we got a little bit of information on it so far, just to help, so we can be prepared for that presentation.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll send the presentation out prior, so hopefully we can go through it, and have some questions and everything.
And then if we, depending on when we get the presentations, especially for our new council members and Councilmember Blunt and myself, it's great just to sit down with Vito and ask questions one-on-one and take your time and walk through it, because sometimes in the meetings, 10 or 15 minutes isn't enough. So I would strongly recommend taking him up on the opportunity. He loves to talk about numbers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes, it's, the numbers look a little bit, like, oh my gosh, I mean, it's a lot, but, it's like, I try to break it down in little bite-sized pieces and everything. So, if you instead of throwing a whole bunch of information at you once. So, you know, just so like next time, like, oh yeah, I remember he talked about that a couple months ago or something. So it's, but yeah, I mean, anytime anybody has any questions, you know, I'm more than happy. And that goes for the residents as well watching. So, I mean, I'd be happy to share any insights.
Great, thank you for that. I'm sure some of us are going to take you up on
Oh
that
yeah,
offer.
absolutely. That's what we're talking about.
Thank you, Vito. So next up, we're going to shift to public safety. If you don't mind, I'm going to let Chief Sumner go first, only because if a fire breaks out, he's got to hit the door. So let's get him while we can get him.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chief Collington. Real quick on the little bit of the backstory for one of the awards that was given out for the 1-year-old child. In case you guys didn't know, his family actually initially called 911 from the apartments over at Good Luck Road and Greenbelt Road. They left that location in an attempt to get to PG Hospital, bypassing Doctor's Hospital for whatever reason, and somehow or another ended up here in the town. So for what the officers did, and then coming over and getting us, and then our guys doing what they do over there, it was actually quite remarkable. I was involved with that for a few minutes, and then so we got the crews, got the ambulance together, the medic unit showed up, and then got them off to Children's. So, real quick, our year-to-date totals, and again, remember, our call volume is actually down. 4,182 calls. That is between our engine, our ladder truck, and our ambulance. To give the new council members some ideas about how much time the volunteers at Bladensburg put in. I have two particular members, Robert Gogan and Jacob Simpson, who both are currently over 1,300 calls apiece. Now keep in mind, Robert Gogan works a full-time 40-hour-a-week job and then comes to the firehouse at night. And the same with Jacob Simpson. Two other members, one is over 965 calls, the other one's over 896 calls for a year. That's a lot of time and a lot of man hours put in. Some things that have been going on next door. We attended the pre-con, the pre-construction build meeting for the new ambulance. That was in Hanover. Sean Reinhardt attended that with us. It went very well. Came in a little under what I thought it would be, which is a good thing, and a little under what the initial price was given. With everything, we are looking at a delivery date that was pushed back a little bit. So you're looking at about a May delivery date for the new ambulance. All other information for that has been passed on to Mr. Tonelli. The new engine is in. For those of y'all that have not seen it, I recommend you come over and see it. It is a 2021 Seagrave Marauder. That was paid for by fundraising, so there was no taxpayer expense with that. And for the new council members, just to let you guys know, that was a total of $683,000 for the purchase of the unit itself. And by the time we finish putting on the equipment and the mounting, we're going to be about $731,000. We had some outside training over the weekend. I don't know if you guys drove by Tilton Road at all Saturday or Friday evening. Interstate Rescue came in. There's a group of trainers that come from Fairfax County, Virginia, as well as down in Florida. They used our second floor. We built a whole lot of props upstairs, such as drop floors and being able to go through wall breaches and being able to save your own from rappelling out of windows. It was a 2-day class that the fire department paid for out of fundraising. We opened it up to several other departments, and we had almost 30 participants to include people from out of the county. Last week, all our new CPR equipment came in. We actually doubled the order, so I got more CPR equipment, which I'm happy about. And hopefully this year we'll be able to get our community CPR program that we're looking to start up and running. On a sadder note, Friday evening over in the town of Cheverly, there was a house fire. No one got hurt, which is a good thing. The smoke alarm saved them. They all got out in time, but it was significant damage to the house. Earlier today, over on 20th Avenue off Edgar Road, again, Bladensburg volunteers ran it, and there was significant damage to that residence as well. 52nd Avenue and Kenworth Avenue had a major crash there. Everybody could see the smoke for miles on end. It ended up being a flatbed truck running into a dump truck. It actually hit the diesel tanks, causing them to rupture and causing an explosion. We got real lucky. 2 guys from Bruin Heights were there from the rescue squad because we were told that there was people trapped in the tow truck when we first got there. And during the course of them trying to get the doors open, the tow truck actually exploded again. And I'm standing about 15 feet away, and I thought I lost 2 firemen. Lucky for me, they were able to get back in time, but it was really an eye-opener. And is that it? For our new council members, and the mayor knows I touch on this all the time, we have meetings 3 times a month through the county. 2 of them are called commission meetings. One of them is called the Volunteer Association meeting. The 2 commission meetings are the first and third Wednesday of the month. The Volunteer Association meeting is the second Wednesday of the month. I recommend you guys go so you guys can see what is transpiring in the county that's not talked about. Some of the, trying to think of the polite way to word it. Some things that are questionable that will raise a lot of questions that will make you scratch your head. I know the mayor's attended a few of them in the past, and she's walked out scratching her head, so I encourage you guys to attend this. This is really important. Prince George's County Fire Department, while on social media and in person, everybody looks like they're happy and getting along. I wish that was the case when the cameras are turned off. So if y'all have any questions, I passed out my cards to you guys last weekend on Thursday. I recommend you guys call me. I recommend you guys come by the firehouse, talk to the guys. We're a very open department. Make sure you bring an apple for Miles. If not, he'll follow you around like there's no tomorrow. Thank you.
And Chief, before you go, thank you for all of those updates and the ongoing support, and it's great to hear of the numerous things that you all are doing to help the community. Sometimes we may get questions from residents asking, does the fire department distribute smoke detectors? Do we still do that?
There is a smoke detector program. If you call the watch office, 301-583-5200, they'll put you on a smoke detector list. That list is distributed out daily, and it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks for someone to come out, and they are still free to the public.
That's really helpful. So I have for the phone number 301-583-5200?
Yes.
Okay. So Mr. McGrory, would it be possible for us to include that in the e-blast on Thursday, just so residents know and can see the number to call?
Yep.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Any
Yes, ma'am.
questions from the council? No. All right. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief Collington, over to you. Our other half of public safety.
Good afternoon again, Mayor, Council, colleagues, and community. Man, I just want to take a second. I just want to thank Chief Sumner for just the great support that he has with the police department. And I can say, because of you, when I first came here, you walked me over to the firehouse and introduced me to Chief Sumner. And ever since then, we've been connected at the hip. He keeps me informed of things and vice versa, you know, so we have a good collaborative working relationship. And from what I'm hearing, it's one that hasn't been seen in a long time. But I can tell you that I just truly appreciate everything he does. He's opened up the firehouse for us to do training, hold meetings, and other things. So this is coming straight from the heart from a good man. And I want to acknowledge him publicly and thank you for being that guy. So with the monthly report, I'll start with our code enforcement. There were 6 bulk trash reminder notice issued last month. Code enforcement removed 12 signs from poles, 9 from right-of-ways. Total removed this year, 462. There were 8 abandoned vehicles in the residential area, 1 in the business area, none in the apartments. Year-to-date, 91 abandoned vehicles, and 8 of them were impounded. No grass violations last month, and other code enforcement activities assisted with setup, helped with the town elections, assisted the police department with interviews and things like that. We are, I'll say, those are his highlights, but I will say that we are still recruiting for the vacant position, and we have filled one position, and we are currently interviewing and doing a background on the second individual, and then code enforcement will be fully staffed. They're doing a great job with the resources that they have, and we are trying to be responsive to the community needs as best as we can. So that's it with that. And then I'll go into our, if there are any questions or concerns that I'm asking our residents, if you can't reach Mr. Reinhardt, you can definitely reach me. I'm available. If you send me an email or if you email him and just include me, we'll make sure that we respond back to you. And I can tell you with the new phone system that we have in place, I'm so happy for that phone system that we have now, because not only does it cut down on the response time, if our staff are out in the field, it rings just like if they're in the office, and we can get back to our residents with a response to their concerns or their questions. For our community engagement, last month we sent several officers to Anne Arundel County for the crisis intervention training. And it's my goal to have every one of our officers trained in crisis intervention, because we talk about the mental wellness that we see out here every day, and it seems like it's increasing due to the economic and social challenges that our residents are facing. So we are addressing them the best that we can. We're getting trained, we're getting educated in how to address mental illness. In addition to that, that's why Officer Harris wasn't here today. That is where the training he's at right now. So we've asked Anne Arundel County, who has a state-of-the-art, it is an international program on mental wellness and mental illness, to plug us in every time they have an opening. So they've agreed to bring us in until we get every staff member, sworn and unsworn, trained in crisis intervention. Because when our dispatchers are there taking that call, they're the first ones that can kind of decipher what is going on with the individual, but having that training, they can kind of bring them out of that dark place, and then we can get there and help them get to the hospital and get some help that they may need. So that is a priority of ours, and we are leaning forward with that and getting that done. In addition to that, you've seen that some videos and news postings in reference to the device called the bowler wrap. Bladensburg is taking the lead. We are now the lead agency in Prince George's County for the bowler wrap. We are getting contacted from reps from bowler wrap. They put us on their website. We are going out and we are training other agencies in the use of bowler wrap. And what the bowler wrap is, that is a remote restraint device. So now, you know, the taser gives you a shock. But if someone's in a mental crisis, they may not need to be tased or hit with a baton. But if we can wrap them up and then move in and tactically secure them and then get them to the hospital without injuries to our officers or to the residents, that's what the goal. The goal is to gain control and get you to where we can get you some help. And so that is a priority of ours. Our Citizen Police Academy, this is a great opportunity now to bring this to the council. I hope that the council would sign up. I know the mayor went through the first class with the Citizen Police Academy, but it gives you insight of what it is that officers do out here every day on the street, and gives you a broader understanding of why they make the decisions that they make sometimes. So I would encourage the council to also sign up and for these Citizen Police Academy. We're wrapping up this session in 2 weeks. So it's been a great journey for the students that are in the class now, our residents, but more so for our new council. So you can understand when you hear about things on the street, when you're talking with your constituents, you'll be able to say, hey, you know, I went through that. Here's why police do what they do. You know, you can help advocate for us So we encourage you to join up on that. I'm not gonna go through everything. We do have it's in my report, we have a very robust community engagement, more than I've seen in a lot of different departments in towns. Bladensburg, we live up to the mantra, Bladensburg Care. That's what we do. And I'm so proud to be here. But I want to just end with, this past Saturday, we had our shop with a cop. And I can tell you that Corporal Tanksley, who heads up our community action team, put together the largest shop with a cop event that I've seen. We had over 75 students this year. We want to thank our schools. We want to thank our parents. We want to thank the council. We want to thank our staff who came out. We want to thank our allied law enforcement partners that all showed up. If you see the video that we put on Facebook and just see the caravan of cars pulling out, this is something these kids would never forget, that when we did our shop with a cop with Bladensburg Police Department and then all the police officers that showed up. And we want to thank our partners from Walmart. We want to thank Hamlin Wood Condo Association gave a donation, as well as Toya of Bowie. They were huge supporters of us. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that participated, and I'll cut it off there because I can go on talking about our community engagement and our enforcement, because I'm just so proud of the hard work that the men and women do every day. So if you have any questions, I'll take them.
Thank you so much, Chief, for that in-depth report. And yes, Councilmember Brown said, it makes you want to applaud all the efforts.
Chief Cole, I do have a question though.
Yes.
When will the next training class start?
So we do one a year.
One a year?
So it'll be next year, but I do have a surprise that we may know. We talked about it. We're in the process of hiring a phenomenal trainer that trains agencies across Prince George's County. This person was a Prince George's County officer at one point, but I'm asking them to put training on, working with our training coordinator now, to put training on for the council. Okay. Responding to active shooter, responding to unrest. You know, something happened, what would you do right now? Right? So we just want to make sure that we are prepared as well. We don't expect anything, but we want to make sure that you get trained as well. Okay. So training goes across the board for us. And everybody knows I'm a big proponent for training. So,
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? I know I agree. Hearing all of the good work that you all do day in and day out makes us so proud that you are the leader for public safety and that you're really building the right framework next door. So the officers can have the tools, the equipment, the proper training, and the right motive and heart to do the job that they're doing. And on behalf of the residents, we truly do appreciate those efforts.
Maybe I'd love to say
yes,
something.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes, and Chief, I heard a lot about you. I heard a lot of good things about you, and I'm just really looking forward to working with you. And thanks for, the things that you continue to do to uplift and build the morale of the police department and public safety, just overall. So thank you so very much.
I do have a question.
Yes, Councilmember Blunt.
It's not Councilmember, it's Emerson House, resident service coordinator at this time. When a resident give a report, what reports do y'all not take, or is everything they do when they come, they have to do a report for? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I mean, that's up to you. I'm sorry. Oh.
So that's a good question. Councilmember Blunt asks, what reports do we take and what reports we don't take? So we would take anything where there is significant property damage, threats, quality of life, environmental. So we would take those reports. If it's something that may be a civil matter, we may refer you to the appropriate authority on that, if it's not a crime report.
And let's say that a resident may feel that someone came into their home and took something, but you see there's no break-ins, how do you all handle that?
So just because we don't see evidence of forced entry, unlawful entry, if you believe someone was in your resident, it's a burglary.
Okay.
If you tell us that something happened, it's a burglary. We're going to take the report,
Okay.
and we will investigate it just like any other crime.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
And Chief, thank you for also mentioning the training that Officer Harris is receiving right now. It made me remember at one point, I think you had talked about getting some support from the county to deal with people in crisis. Did we ever formalize that arrangement just so we have more resources for the officers?
Yes, ma'am. That's a good point and a good question. We did. So we are now connected with we signed the MOU with the Prince George's County Crisis Unit. So they will be coming here to set up a station. So when we respond out for domestic calls, we will be putting them right into the system to get them some help. And they will be working. I introduced Corporal Tanksley to them as well, so he can add to his resources in the Unite Us program. So we continuing to bring in as many resources as we can to deal with the crisis that individuals may be experiencing from time to time.
Perfect. Thank you. Glad to hear that. And then just again, a plug more so for the community, Chief, that you have to sign up for the Citizens Police Academy. The officers, especially, Officer Tanksley worked so hard to put the information together to give the community a true understanding of all the key aspects. They can't teach you everything, so they try to hit the key aspects to really help you understand why they do what they do, the rationale in terms of what the rules and their general order state. So it is such a huge education and a wonderful educational experience, but it's also a lot of fun. So again, please sign up. Listen out in 2020 for the next opportunity to take that class. Next, we'll pivot to the town clerk report. Mr. Charnovich.
I don't know how I get to follow the chief, but I'm gonna have to reword the agenda.
I'm so sorry. 2022.
I'm gonna have to change things around here. Both chiefs, actually.
I just got nudged. Did you just say 2020?
So, in fact, I didn't have anything, but as the discussion kind of went this evening, I do have a couple quick items to touch on that I just kind of wrote down and ad-libbed here. Mainly for new council members Brown and McBride also. So last month I briefly touched on records retention. So I just wanted to point something out here. In the coming months, here early in the next new year, I'm going to be working on both, whether it's the development or honing our existing policies in place for records retention, which, as I mentioned at last month's meeting, is an enormous task to get our arms around. But it's essential, especially if you want to move into the digital age, as I know that the community wants to do, to determine, what records we need to keep, discard, things of that nature. We don't want to be digitizing records that we don't need to digitize. It's just work we don't need to take on. So I just wanted to point that out, especially for the two new council members, that we're going to be amping that up here in the coming months here, especially in the new year after the holidays. That's one thing. Second thing is, the 57th, 58th Avenue grant lighting project that I touched on briefly at the last council meeting. Mr. Tonelli, I worked with him on submitting a letter for an extension to DHCD. I don't think we've received a response yet as far as whether or not it's been approved, but hopefully we can get an extension on that particular grant that we have for the lighting project. I think we applied for an extension till the end of the 2022. So hopefully that'll go through, and maybe I'll have more to report on for that at the January council meeting as far as that decision. And then the third thing, I've already started my first task on my committee. So I took a moment to read the description that was in the packet, which I hadn't done, but now I needed to do that. So it's interesting. It is a topic that definitely interests me, regional planning. In fact, to make a long story short, when I was in the Pittsburgh region, I served on a committee called Project Connect, which was a collaborative effort of different stakeholders across government, nonprofit, very similar to the description in the packet. So it's something that I'm have been involved in. And during my time in Montgomery County, I worked a lot with the Montgomery County chapter as a whole. So it's a very similar type of work that I have been involved in. So hopefully that'll be a committee that I can thrive on and again become the chair very quickly. So I think that's all I have for today. But more to come in coming months.
Thank you, Mr. Charnovich.
Happy holidays to everyone too.
Thank you.
So.
Same to you. And to wrap it up, Town Administrator McGrory.
I want to go stand up where the fun happens here. So I will be brief, partly because I had a kid come home from college last night, and he's leaving again in the morning. So that's a high incentive to go see my son. But I do want to note a couple quick things. One, we do have one of the council members missing, and so Mayor, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I believe there's a statement to be made about that, which is exciting. And then this is the second meeting with this particular team of department heads, the second council meeting that we've attended. And I just want to say a four-legged stool is much more stable than a three-legged stool. And so I do want to say we've had a couple of great department head meetings, a couple of formal ones, and then an informal one as well, which was really great. So I just want to appreciate this leadership team and that it's everybody just naturally fills in to accommodate the gaps and solve problems. And so I'm really thrilled that we are four. Specifically, I'll just point out some very, very quick things about each. Mr. Tennelly described having attended the MACO conference and how terrific that was. But he's so thrifty with public funds that he goes there as a guest of his spouse who works for a Maryland county, and the town doesn't even have to pay for him to go there. So gold star for that cheapskate you have watching the books. I'm very impressed with that. Chief Collington, he is quite modest about many things, but I will say there's something he wasn't saying about the shooting in Riverdale Park where he honored his officers, and that is our very active chief was there as well on the scene almost immediately and helping take charge and make sure that was a really good outcome given the circumstances. So, Chief, I know how modest you are, and I know you're throwing roses to your staff, but I do want to say great job for being that kind of chief who just jumps into the fray. It's an honor to serve with you as well. And then Mr. Charnovich pitched in right out of the gate as the town clerk. He was key in organizing the swearing-in event, and he now supervises the entire customer service team. And I will say, 100% attendance award for your whole team at the swearing-in for the new council members. Diane, Diamond, Ray, and Merxis were all there. And Rich was busy checking people in outside, so missed the beginning of it because he was so dedicated to making sure everyone met the COVID protocols to accommodate the demands of Elizabeth Seton. So it's terrific working with him as well. And lastly, we have yet another member of the team to add, and that is a Director of Public Works position. So I will, in the coming weeks, be asking you all to submit questions as we initiate the interview process for some of the candidates who've applied, because we want to make absolutely sure we get a great fifth person as a department head to add to this mix. And with that, I think I will conclude my report, and thank you all so much. Happy holidays as well. Chief, nice to see you.
Thank you, Mr. McGrory. So with that, we'll move over to mayor and council reports, beginning with Councilmember Blunt for Ward 2. Okay, thank you. And the next person on the list, and let me just pull up the message so I have it correct. The next person on the list is Councilmember Jocelyn Rout. But as you all may recall, last month she did indicate she wouldn't be here. And the reason for that is because she gave birth today to a little beautiful package, Jordan Rebecca Noel, who came into this world weighing 6 pounds and 15 ounces, 19 and a half inches long. So congratulations to her. So she will not, that is her monthly report. How about that?
9 months report.
Top that. So next we'll go, continuing with Ward 1, we'll go over to Councilmember Brown.
First of all, congratulations to mother and baby. Yes. I would like to say, oh, thank you. This guy over there, he's like, but congratulations to mother and baby. I would like to say, as I said during the swearing in, that the third time was a charm for me. So I am glad to be back. I am glad to continue to serve. As a matter of fact, the service work doesn't stop. So I look at it because if you're, and that's what I was saying between a politician and a public servant. If you're a public servant, you're always serving. So whether or not you have the title or if you don't have a title, as I said, my parents did not hold a seat in public office, but they held a seat in the community. Oh, I said the neighborhood because, back then it was like, yes, the neighborhood. So I'm looking forward to serving with the re-elected mayor, newly elected Councilmember McBride, with the current council. Yeah, I said it there that I think we're the only council of color with this all women. So I look forward to us being strong, powerful, doing great things, collaborating, and showing ourselves very well. I thank the residents again for coming out and for voting. It's important to vote, especially during our municipal elections. So all I can say is just let's try to encourage. I do know that in Ward 1 we have over 1,600 registered voters in Ward 1. So that's somehow or another increase that voter turnout. Your vote does make a difference, and your vote does count. And not in only municipal elections, but in all elections. Participate, because our ancestors, forefathers, they really fought for us to have this right to vote, and I just can't continue to express the importance of voting. But I look forward to working with the staff. You all continue to do a great and wonderful job. Just the fire department, our community partners, our businesses here in the town of Bladensburg. So I just want to say thank you for voting for me again. Thank you all. And I will because it was very important for the residents to come out. And I do the little joke because I did have my bananas, so I had some cases of bananas. And guess what? I did not take. Maybe I took back 1 or 2 bananas, but for the number of bananas, the residents, they were excited. They got their potassium, and and the mayor, she had her setup over there. So they went from bananas and water up to some good old hot dogs and sodas and hamburgers and everything. So, but I'm very excited. Community work is. This work is just very important, and we can have fun with it. We can have fun with it and just continue to make a difference, because as long as we're making a difference here in the town of Bladensburg and taking care of our residents, it's very important. So I'm very excited, and hopefully the new council is just as excited to work with me as well. And I just bring my experience, and I just want to continue to show Bladensburg that I really care. I love this community. Been here over 20 years, and we're family. So let's act like it. But once again, I thank the voters who came out, put me back in the seat here. But as I said, it's about doing the work, and I'm committed to doing the work, being here, being visible, being available, definitely responsive as well. So thank you all so very much. Happy holidays to you. You all be safe. As I say, kiss your loved ones, hug them, and have a joyous Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Next, we will go back to Ward 2 with Councilmember McBride.
Good evening, Mayor James, and to everyone and my fellow council members. I am truly glad to be here. I'm the newbie on the block. Who would say I have a lot to learn, but I am very thankful for everyone that voted. I look forward to working with you all and learning a lot from all of you, from your experience. For me, my report is that I participated in food distributions several times during the month for Parkview residents and also some of the Bladensburg residents. And then I participated in the food distribution for the Edmiston families for Thanksgiving. Attended the COVID vax with Councilmember Rout with the youth. And so that's basically my report, but I'm glad to be here. I look forward to working with you and keep me on the straight and narrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember McBride, and I do appreciate both you and Councilmember Brown jumping right in and supporting the vaccination efforts that were happening, and as you mentioned, helping out with the BGC food giveaway, which this year was over in Edmiston, but was open to our residents as well. Due to the lateness of the hour, I'll be quick. We did have another Basswood House Task Force meeting, and so Council in January, we're aiming to be able to come back and present to you the ideas that we came away from the stakeholder group with, so we can get input on next steps in terms of continuing to look for funding, programming, and preserving and renovations for the house. There was discussion at the last meeting regarding the hearing that the Prince George's County Council was holding regarding redistricting. As you may recall, the council voted to submit a letter supporting the position of Edmiston to remain in the port towns and not be moved out. We did follow up with the written letter sent in, and then the hearing lasted, I think, 5.5 hours. I do recall probably around between 9 and 9:45, I believe, is when Councilmember Rout gave also verbal testimony, so we did verbal and written. But unfortunately, we didn't get our request, and so it looks like the council approved the vote. I think it was a 6-5, no, 6-4. I think one person was absent. But as I stated before, Edmiston was previously in a different district. And then in the last redistricting round in 2010 is when they were shifted into the port towns. So that doesn't stop us from working together with them as a port towns partner. And I feel like it gives us some leverage because now we have 4 council members, their council member for District 2, the District 5 council members, and 2 at-large council members that we can advocate. 4 out of 11 votes, that's pretty strong. And then on the state side, it's the same thing with our state senators. We can hit up Senator Penske on their side to get support, in addition to Augustine, and do the same strategy with the delegates to just get more support behind our legislative agenda items. Really quickly, the other thing that I'm really proud of is our staff. We had a recommendation from Councilmember Rout to do visioning sessions, and the first of those was to get input from staff about what they have in terms of ideas for ARPA funding and how those dollars can be utilized. And I'm so proud of the way that they stepped up, shared their ideas boldly. Some things, were just, it showed that they seriously prepared for that meeting. It wasn't off the top of their head. They were very detailed in the ideas presented and some of the recommendations. So Bob served as the scribe for that meeting and agreed to just compile the notes so that he can send those out to the rest of the council. And I know we have the next one coming up with our business owners. Those are some of the highlights in terms of things happening last month. One thing I do want to mention, the county keeps going back and forth. They were doing a CERT training before Thanksgiving, and then it got bumped. And I don't even know if this is going to happen in December, but as soon as I get the new dates, I'll get that information over to you, Mr. McGrory, because we do really need to step up our CERT team. We used to have it, as you know, when you were on the council before. Yes, that's right, you did, and it was such a huge training program because it took some of the pressure off of our staff. One, because we're here, we live in the community, so if there's an emergency from a tornado, in a lot of situations, we can get there faster than a staff member who may live in a different county on the Bay across the Bay Bridge, for example, and just having also additional support working with public safety. Again, it takes pressure off of them, but it's that philosophy of neighbors helping neighbors, going back to the neighborhood concept that you just mentioned a few minutes ago. But there's strength in really getting that together. So Chief and I have talked about it several times. So hopefully after the holidays, this is really going to happen, but we'll make sure we get that information out. And the rest will be in a written report, again, for the sake of time. So with that, before we adjourn, because we didn't really do a roll call, I wanted to just ask for a motion to approve an excused absence for Councilmember Rout. Again, I wanted to state the reason why. She's had a baby today. But may I have a motion to excuse Councilmember Rout from today's meeting? Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. So with that, final call for announcements. Councilmember Brown, then I'll come to Councilmember Blunt.
Just really quickly, I do want to mention that the Yule log was great, and the weather held up for us, because usually it's like 20 degrees outside. Good Mayor, you know, it's like really cold outside. But it was like 40-ish, 50-ish, whatever, and they had the movie night. Residents showed up. They gave away at least 200 bags and needed more, so it shows that we had a great participation. And yeah, people were out there and they watched the movie, so yeah. And with the, and Chief, you were out there as well, as some of the staff, but just want to mention that the Yule log this year, although it was outside, it was really, really nice. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, and we'll definitely, for the January meeting, do the detailed December report, but thank you for calling that out since it was so recent, and thank you to all the staff who worked really, really hard stuffing those bags and getting all that stuff and decorating, and just being there to work that event. Councilmember Blunt, I did see your hand.
Yeah. Question, the art meeting for the businesses, is that for nonprofit as well?
I would imagine so. They're a business, they're just not for profit.
Yeah.
So if you have nonprofits that, you know, could benefit, I would definitely send them the information. Yeah, I was planning to do the same thing because some of our community groups, I think, could benefit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, I do want to wish everyone happy holidays. Please stay safe and be well. With that, I'll call for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
And we are out of here before 9. Yes.